the people are so dignified and proud, and they know that they have a rich history. They have this incredible toughness, but their toughness is tempered by a deep hospitality and the kind of sense of humor that comes from people that are survivors, that nothing phases them.
Mongolians, we have a lot of national pride. We are proud to be Mongolians. Keeping this land which was given from our ancestors is very alive. The spirit of Genghis Khan, uniting all the tribes of Mongolia to become one strong force, is still here.
Landlocked and nestled between China and Russia, Mongolia has experienced a tumultuous political history. In the early 1920s, with the help of Soviet forces, Mongolia finally freed itself of long-standing Chinese rule. On November 26, 1924, it became the Soviet Union's first satellite state. However, when communism began to unravel in the late 1980s, Mongolia was the first to embrace democracy. In 1990, it held its first elections, leading the way to a period of drastic transition. With the departure of communism, the Soviet-style collectives were dismantled, taking 40% of the economy with them. Suddenly, people were left with nothing. Those who could not survive on their livestock alone were forced to pack their belongings and head to the cities, unemployed and unable to provide for their families. Alcoholism, family breakdown and violence, no access to basic health care for the migrants, and the incidence of homelessness are just some of the related problems this young democracy must cope with during these transitional years.
In Mongolia, after 15 years of transition to democracy and market economy, we have achieved a lot. There are a lot of progresses with regard to human rights, of course, freedoms and opportunities for business and for people. But at the same time, when for at least 1/3 of the population that live below the poverty level, and that's under $1 a day, for those people, patience is sort of running out. Actually, their lives is not better than during the communist times.
It needs time to have a good government. It's only 15 years. We had a very quick change, and the difference of change is like a sky and land. We were on the land, and just after in 1990, we were on the sky. And it's not very easy to organize everything and to have very good things straight away.
Since 1997, the Flagstaff International Relief Effort has been assisting the people of Mongolia during these difficult years.
There's a great deal of corruption in Mongolia, and my thought was to deliver clothing directly to the children and the elderly people that needed it, directly without any middlemen. And we've carried through on that, and this is what makes FIRE different than all the other organizations. We hand the clothes directly to the people.
This small, Arizona-based non-governmental, non-profit organization is dedicated to providing much-needed resources and support to the world's disempowered and poorest. Every fall, FIRE volunteers hand-deliver warm winter clothing, medical and educational supplies, and provide medical training all over Mongolia.
I really became dedicated to the way FIRE works, and I love the fact that it's truly a grassroots organization. It's homegrown right here in Flagstaff. There's no political or religious affiliation. They have a real clear mission, and every single penny goes directly to the people of Mongolia without fanfare.
It all begins unglamorously in a dusty Flagstaff warehouse, where many different organizations and individuals throughout the community contribute their time and energy to sort, pack, and load the many boxes of donated clothing.
My name's Kirsten Thilman, and I'm 11. I like to come help pack because I feel like I'm really helping out and making the world a better place, kind of like the Girl Scout motto. And because I know that wherever these things are going to go, the people are going to be happy.
When I got involved packing the boxes, I thought, how can my class help with this? It's a class at Flagstaff Middle School that is designed to meet the needs of developmentally disabled students. We started going to Eddie Bauer and getting the boxes, and it has turned into like a vocational training program for them. They enjoy doing things for others, but I think they also develop workplace skills, which is one of our goals.
200 boxes! One day, 30 people.
In 2005, fire received over 30,000 pounds of used clothing from individuals and thrift stores in the city of Flagstaff alone.
I think it's a good match to take our huge amount of excess Western clothing and bring it to a country that really needs it, where it actually can make a difference.
With an average winter low of -10 Fahrenheit or -25 Celsius, Ulaanbaatar is considered the coldest capital in the world. In 2004, 367 people froze to death on its streets. Donations of warm clothing alleviate the cold of winter, enabling poor children to attend school and adults to seek work. In September 2005, 8 clothing and 4 medical volunteers traveled to Mongolia, meeting fires 2 40-foot containers. In 2 weeks, they hand-delivered 24,000 pounds of winter clothing and 400 boxes of medical supplies to over 10,000 people. Clothing distributions and medical training took place in Ulaanbaatar, as well as 9 of the 21 Mongolian provinces.
One of the wonderful things about Mongolia is that you can put it all together at the last minute. I spend 3 weeks over here before setting everything up, contacting different organizations and finding out where the clothes are needed the most, looking for the poorest people we can possibly find. It makes it possible to do what we do in the amount of time that we do it with as little in-country preparation time as we have. So who's going to Darhan? Is that where you get away?
Whoever goes to Nalak, it's a great place to take the toothbrushes, soap, combs, other household things that you brought special for people.
Many of FIRE's distributions take place in the crowded, semi-permanent Gare districts that have gradually surrounded the city in the last 15 years. These Gare districts are not connected to city water or sewage and have sparse electricity. Living conditions are desperate for those just trying to survive.
We are in the 12th Hora, and this is our first family. We've come straight to their Gare. We've distributed some stuff to 3 other families back at the Hora Center. The social workers, she has 2,000 homes here. 80% of them are poor, so she's chosen the ones that are the poorest and the most in need. And this family has a little boy who's 5 and a little girl who's 2. Hey Jamie, will this fit the little boy? And let me see if I can find him some jeans.
Well, I think the families that were most poignant to me were the ones that were headed by single mothers, and I came from a single mother family in the United States, and when I listened to the stories of what happened, how their husband had died, and how they're trying to raise 3, 4, 5, 7 kids without having any work or any source of income, and they're trying to keep their kids clothed and fed.
Look who came to the door.
Hello, hello.
I like learning English and Korean language. I want to be a doctor. Yeah, because some people is seeing.
You're going to that?
Yes.
Where'd your hand go? There it is.
Wow.
Check you out, my man. That looks great.
Yes.
That looks good. You look good. Right on.
There's no other way, I think, for a family like that to get the help it needs except through work like Fire's doing here.
When I first started working with Fire, our main emphasis was on the street children and orphans that were living in these appalling conditions. So I think that was a real motivating cause for people in Flagstaff to get together, collect clothing, and volunteer their time and energy towards this cause.
Fire continues to reach out to the orphans and street children by way of established care centers. The Address Identification Center is one of the first locations where the fire crew delivers clothing. It serves as both a holding and relocating station for children up to 16 years old. On one particular morning, Meredith Potts and Jamie Sinise witnessed firsthand how the street children are being helped.
We were to go down into the tunnels to see street children while they're sleeping and haven't gotten up for the day. We were with two, I guess you'd call them undercover policemen type. Their job was to go and find the kids and bring them back to the Address Identification Center. And this man went and literally looked in different manholes. And he had his cool leather jacket on, so he just looked like a tough Mongolian guy. And then we're driving through the city and we see this little boy standing by the gutter. He pulls the van over and he gets out and he goes over and he puts his hand on that little boy's back in such a neat way. He had asked him if he wanted to come with us, and he did. He'd earned money by singing, and he bought water from a shop owner that morning, washed his face. He didn't use the money to buy food. He wanted to be clean. He said it was important in the morning you get up and you have a clean face. But he was freezing cold because he hadn't slept in the tunnels. He'd slept outside, basically, just in kind of a doorway with wood around it.
Oh, there was one stone, and he said, "This is my pillow." That one?
I asked him that, did you ever go to school? And he said yes, but my stepmother don't let me to go to school. But sometimes just beat him and just don't want to let him go to school and don't want to feed him.
Upon arrival at the center, the children are signed in, bathed, and fed before joining the others. The children are also given a clean set of clothes, which they take with them when they leave.
And just in this small little way, to see how cared for these kids are on next to nothing, it looks like to me. I thought they seemed very naive, the way that little boy just came with us, so trusting. And the kids, they were very starved for adult affection. I know it's always fun for kids to get their pictures taken, but they wanted the interaction too. They ate it up. I felt like they hadn't crossed a barrier, that they were jaded and bitter, but they knew how to take care of themselves. They were still hopeful. I do think the way a society takes care of or responds to its most vulnerable people says a lot about that society.
Thanks to the concerted effort by both the Mongolian government and foreign aid organizations, there are now many shelters available where children at risk are taken in and taught various life skills. As a result, the current number of street children has decreased considerably from an estimated 4,000 in the 1990s. However, there are still many children who continue to live part-time in shelters and part-time on the streets, such as those met at the Address Identification Center. Another one of FIRE's recipient in the capital is the Lotus Center, a colorful orphanage run by a devoted Australian teacher who has been helping street children for the last 13 years.
My name's Didi Kalika. The Lotus Center is really a home for children from newborns to now some of the older girls are around 23. And there's around 135 kids living here at the moment. We do concentrate more on girls, but now we do have a lot of boys actually. I think for the girls it's worse. They have a much harder time in the street because they get abused. I saw quite young girls, drifting into that lifestyle of being prostitutes. And one of the first girls who I'd known who'd run away, she said, well, I have 16 boyfriends now and they love me and, so things are okay. And she was full of lice and infections and in a very bad situation, but she didn't really understand what was exactly happening to her. And when I told her maybe you could become pregnant, she said that I couldn't become pregnant because I'm small and babies are big and a baby couldn't fit in me, so there's no way I can have a baby, so it's okay. Now actually the Lotus Center has some of the second generation street children, the children of some of these people. These young people have been in the street for many years.
Most of these children come off the street by way of the police from the Address Identification Center. Didi's simple, yet cared for and loving refuge is a welcome sight amidst the squalor of the Gare district in which it is located.
Oh my gosh. Look at that teddy bear. It got a little stash. Oh! What do we have? Who wants to have?
This country is very extreme, You have a very, very cold time, so you have to be able to clothe them all. Yesterday it suddenly snowed and I got calls from the school that the kids weren't warm and it's like, oh my God, how am I going to get them all into winter clothes? It's really good to get the donation from FIRE because it's expensive to buy all those and, we need the money for food and wages and it's helpful if we don't spend it all on clothing.
With snow already blanketing the city by mid-September, the knitted items FIRE had received from the Dulan project were distributed not a day too soon. Kindergarten number 59 was one of the many recipients of the hand-knitted items, and they had planned a very special welcome for FIRE. The Dulan project is a collaborative effort that began in February 2005 by Mossy Cottage Knits, FIRE, and the KPC Buddhist Center of Sedona, Arizona. Since its inception, colorful hand-knitted items have poured in from around the world.
And we came up with the beautiful word Dulan. And Dulan means warm. And we thought of it in a variety of ways. Of course, it's to warm the body with nice hand-knit clothing, but it's also to warm the heart with doing something for somebody else with love, making something by hand and making it carefully and thinking about the person that you're going to be giving it to. The sort of warmth of human connection. We were really so thrilled with the response. 4,517 items in about 5 months. Okay. Astounding. 900 items a month.
I didn't need to know what they were saying. You could understand the language through, the eyes and the emotions. And then when they saw us taking sacks out and pulling clothing out, then they started getting curious and coming up and looking. And then they almost started mobbing us because the children, we would hand out something and they'd all be grabbing at it. And they got into the spirit of it. They really liked it. The children were grateful and it was such a warm, fuzzy feeling. It really was good.
Thank you.
During their 2 weeks in Mongolia, FIRE medical volunteers visited 14 hospitals, conducting classroom and bedside training sessions as well as home visits. Each hospital received a share of the $110,000 worth of medical supplies donated by World Care of Tucson, Arizona, and the Flagstaff Medical Center.
I feel great about being on this Pioneer Medical Training Team because it's completely different to teach them what they need to know to carry on from here and do their own care. The people that we met last year begged for medical training, and I know it's an area that we can really make a difference in, so I'm looking forward to this. Sheila and I thought that it would be best to just teach by doing, so the doctors from Charity Hospital are taking us to see each of their patients, and we're just problem solving with them. He's got a large hematoma on his brain, and the doctor doesn't allow him to get up. There's no diagnostic equipment here, so we don't really know where in the brain the problem was or how bad it was. Then we see that he's had a lot of injuries in the past. He's got a dislocated shoulder, he's got a dislocated elbow, his knees are all crunchy, like they have lots of injuries. Any rock?
So what are you going to say?
For walking, it'll make his legs stronger. Now that we know he can lift his butt, I know he can scoot. So all of the exercises that we just showed him are functional exercises that will help him get ready to get out of bed when the doctor says it's okay to get up.
On all these trips that I've been on, at least, it's always, you always get back a lot more than what you actually go and give on a personal level. The X-ray machine at Charity Hospital here is not working. So we're showing how you can use with a stethoscope and a tuning fork how to make a diagnosis of a broken bone. This gentleman here has a broken leg bone here in the tibia, and what the doctor's going to do is she's going to use the tuning fork, and you can hear the sound get transmitted through the bone very clearly. Now if we were to do the same thing on this leg, you wouldn't hear that sound getting through, and you know you have a broken bone. It's always different, but it's always something that's quite empowering. Being able to do something like this kind of really gets you back to why you chose this path to begin with.
We're at Bayanzuk District Hospital. And this is an ultrasound machine that we brought all the way from the States, traveled on truck, onto boat, onto train, onto truck again, onto van, and then here. So we're real excited we could get it here.
Doctors here get paid less than people who own the little stores that have little shops selling like sodas and gum and cookies, and they make less than them. They like less money than the teachers. You have to be really dedicated to be a doctor in this country.
Yet they are as committed a group of physicians as I've ever encountered, if not more so.
But they don't have any supplies. They're really limited. The emergency department has no oxygen. They have not even a scalpel to drain an abscess with. They don't have casting, splinting material. Their suture looks like it comes out of a floss container, and they have a few stainless steel needles that are cleaned periodically, you know, for use in suturing. But it's amazing what they do with the limited supply of resources that they have. They definitely are in need of a lot.
And the best way to do that is to look at accessing all the wasted supplies in our country, which is tremendous.
Yeah. You always feel like you're taking away so much more than you gave. Such prolonged and intimate contact in a real physical way with these patients. They'll always be with me. Mongolian people with medical problems are more stoic than what I'm used to in America. They don't ever feel sorry for themselves. I never saw anybody cry. I never saw anybody complain. I never saw anybody not want to try to get up out of bed and walk. They're not fearful. That's got to be something cultural in their way of life, where they know they've just got to get up and get back to a hard way of living. No time to feel sorry for yourself here.
With a remarkable amount of work achieved in just 1 week in Ulaanbaatar, it was time for the fire crew to move on. For their second week of distribution and medical training, the volunteers traveled to all 4 corners of Mongolia. East to Choibolsan, the 4th largest city with the highest unemployment rate in the country. South to Dalanzadgad in the Gobi Desert. North to Muran in Hovskol province, and west to Olgi, deep in the heart of Kazakh culture.
The thing that I
I've been really struck by is just how intertwined they are with the animals. It's like they're one. The people and the animals live so closely, and they're everything for the people that live in this harsh, kind of rugged climate. The hospitality is amazing. They welcome you into their home, they feed you, give you tea to drink, just are really open and willing to share everything with you that they have. It's amazing.
With no paved roads outside the few largest cities, reaching rural delivery locations and hospitals turns into a very, very rough ride. Just covering 60 miles in 3 hours is considered a success. Fire has been gradually turning its focus to the remote rural communities of Mongolia, which are often neglected by aid organizations due to the many logistical difficulties and cost involved in reaching them.
In one of our house-to-house distributions today, there was a family of 7 living in a ger that they had to rent because they couldn't afford $300 even for a used one. Not only could they not afford to buy their own ger, they only had half the felt insulation needed to cover it for the winter, which was just around the corner. To top it off, their oldest daughter did not have enough warm clothing to be able to go to school. Mongolia is very strict with their clothing requirements. If children are not dressed warmly enough, they're sent home. When we come across families like this, I really wish we had the extra money to be able to buy the felt and firewood and coal they need to get through the winter. But I'm grateful that we at least are able to give them some clothes and blankets and help their children get to school.
U.S. mail.
My name is Dagas. I have 3 children, but only one still lives with me. The other I had to send away because I can't afford to care for them. My daughter is in a school for orphans, and my other son lives with my sister. My wife died last year after being sick and bedridden for 10 years. I had to quit my job to care for her and spent all our money. I sold the glass from my window and the wood from my floor to buy food for me and my son. And today, we are bringing in sand to level out the floor to sleep on. I need food, firewood, and coal, but still, these clothes are so important to us. I can't thank the people enough. What can I do for them?
The volunteers we had this year were fabulous. They rolled with the punches, and believe me, we had so many punches. The vans ran out of gas, I don't even know how many times. There were car problems after car problem after car problem. They just kept the best attitude.
We're stuck in the middle of nowhere.
They were so supportive and enthusiastic about everything we were doing. The poverty that they see the underbelly of Mongolia. It puts things in perspective. I don't think there's a single volunteer that has ever come over that hasn't gone home extremely grateful for everything they have in the States.
The direct contact between U.S. volunteers and the people of Mongolia will continue to build bridges of cross-cultural understanding while helping the most vulnerable members improve the quality of their lives.
Well, the future of Mongolia, it's a very simple wish. I wish that every single family, every single person in Mongolia has enough income, to eat, to have clothing, and to have shelter, and to have safe water, and to have access to education and health.
I was very pleased to see how another people are helping to the needy people, and after they get warm clothing and their children can go to school, it's a good thing.
We have the clothes to bring back, but we never know when we're going to be able to raise the funds. And it's very difficult to look at these faces that you've just given clothes to, that you've helped, these lives that you've touched, and to say that you don't know when you're coming back.
We might have still some difficulties in the future, and it takes time, and then I think a good future is waiting for Mongolia.
Just as Chinggis Khan epitomized the Mongolians' ability to rise above confusion and uncertainty, this 15-year-old newly democratic state will emerge through its growing pains, one step at a time. There will hopefully come a day when Mongolia will no longer need fire's assistance.
Most useful item here in Mongolia. Yeah, toilet paper.
Without a doubt, chili sauce.
What's your favorite food here?
Mutton. Just boil it up and cut it right off the bone.
Rice, lamb, noodles, lamb, rice, raisins, rice.
Two. You have anything to say about the food?
It's very muttony.
My biggest fear this trip is the in-country flight from Ulaanbaatar west to Ogi on
Maybe it'll arrive tomorrow.
Mayat airline, which stands for Maybe It'll Arrive Tomorrow.
It's the in-flight meal service for Hongard Air.
What's the craziest thing that happened?
Well, I don't know, just crossing the street, probably the craziest thing that's happened to me.
We asked him, what do you plan to do when you grow up, or what do you want to be someday? And then he said, definitely none of your business.
No problem. No problem.
All the people that funded, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mary Mo Milka, Milk Buckway. Sunburn.
I would like to be a boss.
Oh, David. It's a piece of cake.
No problem at all.